Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Level 1 News. Today's, was it the 14th? Wow. For some reason, I thought that was Friday. I guess the 17th is Friday. Today's a weird episode. Ryan is in quarantine, and the rest of us are here at the office. It's a weird reversal. Also, I cannot keep earbuds in my ears. I have weird shaped ears.
Elf ears. We've known it all along.
They just don't stay. I've never had a pair of earbuds that stay in my ears. I always have to get the ones that go over.
Devember is currently happening. We narrowly avoided a crisis with the Minecraft server 0 day that is currently circulating.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not great.
You know, griefer's gonna grief.
Ryan, can you show us your cats since you're at home today?
They're hungry right now. Toaster.
He's not
Toaster. Get in here, buddy. Get in here. Come here.
Oh, there he is. I can see him. What a good kitty cat.
What a good boy you are.
Your cats always surprise me with how enormous they have become.
Yeah, I think of them perpetually as if they're still teenage cats.
Whoa. Look at this fat piece of garbage. That's what you are, not what I usually call you, because we'll get demonetized.
He's a good boy.
What a good boy.
A reminder that we have t-shirts with toast and crouton on them at store.level1x.com.
There's also a few models of KVM that are still in stock by some miracle.
They disappear as quickly as we can restock them.
As quickly as we can buy the components that go into them. Thanks, global situation. Speaking of global situations that are under no one's control, our first story is about somebody who's not going to taste freedom anytime soon.
Or anything other than gruel and tepid water and people's boots.
Do you want to read the headlines because you're remote, or do you want me to?
I mean, I can read them
Let
too.
Chris to do it.
Yeah. Right. UK opens door to Assange extradition to US on spying charges. Rip in peace. This just broke this morning. We're recording this on a Friday. So
remember when everybody was making fun of him when he was like, wait a minute, these girls from Sweden, it's a honeypot. They're trying to extradite me to America. And it was like, that's insane. Why would you even think that? That just sounds crazy. It doesn't sound plausible at all. And yet,
here we are.
Remember the crazy kid who they used against him who turned out to be like a pedophile or something?
Oh, yeah. He's definitely not a worse human being than this person.
And definitely wouldn't have done anything to get away from those charges or said anything. It's so out in the open. It's astonishing.
It really is. There's some rubber stamp procedures that some officials in the UK have to approve. So like the Secretary Home Minister or something has to still approve this, but no one is expected that they're going to complain, which is really, I mean...
You got to admit that would be political suicide.
Yeah.
I mean, if the UK is doing this, surely they'll get rid of Prince Andrew too, right? They'll cooperate with the authorities there, right?
Oh, it's almost like justice for thee and not for me.
Or Prince Andrew is literally who they're trying to protect from this.
Yeah.
That's just, it's disappointing. Very, very disappointing. You know who else was disappointed? The big telecom companies. You know why?
Senate confirms FCC Chair Rosenworcel to another term, narrowly avoiding a Republican majority. Look at the picture they picked for her here. She looks very happy here. She's her little finger
like,
up.
Well, not just hang on a second there.
Yeah.
So at the top of her agenda is trying to reestablish net neutrality, which is kind of a dark timeline thing. Like the ISPs are already looking past net neutrality. They're doing things like deep packet inspection to try to figure out what you're doing on the internet, and ways of monetizing that. We'll talk about that later in the episode. Don't worry, foreshadowing. But because of the way that her appointment works, if she wasn't explicitly, I guess, reelected or didn't go through this process, then there would just be a vacancy for her position. So that would be not good.
You got to admit, I mean, we monitor a lot of tech headlines. She is doing a lot, at least getting headlines for a lot. And maybe that's because, liberal media, but then when you read the articles, it's not always just fluff.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. She seems to be doing some decent stuff.
She's trying.
Oh, I didn't mention the 5G stuff. They're doing the bigger focus is 5G. Secondary focus is net neutrality. But I think net neutrality is more important than the 5G focus.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. We'll see what comes of that. Could be good. On the news, we do a lot of headlines. We do a lot of headlines about ransomware and about, people taking over Minecraft servers by pasting the wrong chat message in, crap like that. It's almost like there's a cybersecurity shortage.
U.S. faces urgent anti-hacker crisis, and you can see help wanted there.
There's
It's
not that
almost
many
like
E
this-
letters on a keyboard.
It's
Wait,
almost like this crisis started years and years and years ago, and the government did nothing for all of those years.
wasn't it like 3% of tech workers for the government were like under the age of 30?
Yes.
It's like,
Well, they also pointed out in here that no one wants to work for the government. People who are tech savvy don't want to work for the government. So they're just like, well, if we can't get tech people, I guess we'll get music people.
I saw
What?
that. Yeah, like they and then said accountants and music people, and I was like, that's not.
Wendell, do you think those two things can be interchanged? What if we just put you in a music business right now?
Music is like math. You could figure it out.
I think that would probably end very badly, or it would be something unique and somehow haunting and unsettling.
They'll come up with beautiful, elegant solutions that won't stop the Russians for 10 minutes.
Yeah, they say that there are 600,000 positions that need to be filled in terms of cybersecurity. What they don't really talk about, though, is that a lot of businesses, like when we're talking about like the commercial sector, they don't actually care about security. And so if this is the government saying we need to proactively have businesses care about security by like figuring stuff out for them, okay, maybe. But they have a staffing problem, 1, they have a training problem, 2, and 3, the government salaries aren't going to compete with the private sector salaries. And it actually says that. It says, hey, whenever we do actually get somebody in the government that knows what they're doing, the private sector immediately hires them for 3 to 5 times what we can pay.
And
So-
even just not thinking about pay, like think about the technologies you're probably going to work with in the government versus what you might be working private sector.
Yeah.
That's not real exciting if you're into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
600,000 jobs. Nubbin's still unemployed.
Ooh, that's not... That's...
We could get him in a government security job.
You can patch WordPress.
He knows enough to do government security. He's going to know enough more than these accountants and musicians that are coming in.
Yeah.
That's very true. You know who else is, sort of taking a proactive approach because there's not enough people?
U.S. military has reportedly acted against ransomware groups.
Now, when they say acted against, they mean doing things that only the military knows how to do.
Well, they didn't say what they did. The phrase was imposed costs.
Like
Could it be
cost of
human
lives?
life?
Yeah.
Could it be money? Who knows?
I seem to remember that, wasn't there a rocket attack on a building somewhere in the Middle East? Because it was like, we figured out that everybody was operating on the floor of this building. We couldn't really figure out how to turn it off, so we turned to the rockets. That was the thing that happened. I don't know if that was the U.S. But
Well, remember the truck that they got in Afghanistan as they were flying out? Remember that one?
Oh,
That was a family of 9, mostly children.
Oh,
Yeah.
but they were hardened cyber criminals like Assange, right?
They were delivering water.
No, they were hardened cyber criminals,
But
and it was a rousing success.
But the water had nanobots in it or something, right? I mean,
They were actually even more innocent than Assange. Assange did do something.
it seems impossible. Speaking of people that did do something,
Report: Apple CEO Tim Cook engineered a secret $275 billion deal with China.
now the thing
Does this not clarify all those headlines?
yes,
Every time we're like, wow, Apple just does whatever China says. What is this about? Now we know.
now we know. This deal's from 2016. That was the part that I thought should have been in the headline. This deal is from 2016.
5 years.
And it was a 5-year deal. So what's going on now?
They extend it into 2022 if no one has any complaints, and I don't think they do.
Yeah, they got to re-up. Renegotiate.
I have to say, I mean, it's terrible, but there's part of me that has a grudging respect for China that they could get that deal and like they just strong-armed Apple into doing whatever they wanted. I'm like, why doesn't our government do that?
There's a lot of fun things you could say there.
Krista, do you remember when we had a president that fought the big media companies and how that went?
That's true. Everybody take a long, awkward drink of water.
And reflect on the destruction of civilized society. Just... Speaking of destruction of civilized society, guess who's getting on board the we need a company in our borders to get rockets into orbit.
Concerned about SpaceX, France to accelerate reusable rocket plans. I think it was 2030 was the year.
The name of the company, I can't remember. It was a hilarious name for a company. Ariane Group is to develop a new small lift rocket called Maya or Maya by 2026.
Oh,
Europe needs 20 reusable rockets by 2026, and by presidential decree, not really presidential decree, but by French decree, that'll definitely happen.
Prime Minister degree.
Definitely
the
gonna
big thing, what you're leaving out here is this is the hardcore French socialists saying maybe we have to go private sector.
Not only will they, they'll go private sector, but I don't think they'll be successful, even if they go private sector. There's a lot of special sauce that goes into the reusable rocket stuff.
We'll see, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember when we do the stories about the court cases, and somebody always has to go and pay like $15 or $20 to get a copy of the court case, and then it says, "Oh, don't share that," and then somebody
but remember, sometimes when it's like 1,000 pages of stuff that you need, then you start paying per page.
Yeah, that's
And
not
it becomes
pleasant.
unrealistic.
Yeah.
Those are the worst ones.
And remember, somebody wrote a browser plugin that said, "Hey, if anybody that's using this plugin has paid for this, you don't have to pay again," because that's crazy. And
there was some legal action there.
there was
if I remember correctly.
some legal action, yeah. And then it was like, no, this is totally okay. Well, the free Pacer bill is advancing through the Senate Judiciary unanimously. Ron Wyden and somebody else is sponsoring this. So you still have to pay filing fees. So the filing fees are probably going to go up because now there's no fees to get stuff out of Pacer, except it's like 3 years, something like that. Was it that you can't get court stuff? You can't get the records for 3 years after the thing.
I missed this story, so I wasn't sure.
It was also, the people that were against this were fighting so hard, but their argument was so baseless that they were able to solve every complaint by adding a box that says, "I won't use this illegally."
They could harass people in the court system because it has their real addresses and stuff. Yeah, it's all right. They could do that anyway.
A checkbox, just like, when you go to a website and it's like, you're over 18, right? You're over 21, right? It's like, yeah, sure I am.
There is some concern about that, although I imagine that this is probably not the kind of court document that goes in there. But you did just have a trial where news agencies were trying to dox the jurors.
Yeah.
Why couldn't
Fair.
that happen with the currently different ongoing trial that has lots and lots of seized FBI evidence that was disallowed at trial?
Imagine the circus there's going to be if Assange goes on trial in the U.S.
Actually, yes, that will be...
That'll be a circus. Yeah.
That will never be allowed to happen. He's going to be McAfee.
I think Epstein is more...
I'm worried about the algorithm picking up on that.
Oh, yeah, they already have.
It is
They
hot
heard
right now,
Andrew,
we
and then they heard Epstein.
And we also have a lot of stuff actively being suppressed on that front. So,
Woo! Speaking of things that probably should be suppressed, Clearview AI is on track to win a U.S. patent for facial recognition technology. Remember Clearview?
Ugh.
It's basically crimes against humanity.
a lot of states are fighting them still, right? Isn't it kind of weird that you're trying to get a patent while you're actively being sued constantly?
Some states have banned it completely. I know cities have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could get a patent on technology that could never be used legally, I suppose.
Then you just don't use it legally. Oh, sorry. Virgin Media fined €50,000 after spamming 451,000 people who didn't want marketing emails.
50,000 pounds.
Oh, it's pounds, sorry.
But we know people, we know several people that would be more than happy to pay 50,000 pounds to send 451,000 people email.
The crazy thing is only one guy complained. One person caused that 50 grand.
The amount of people who try to get rid of the unsubscribe button at the bottom of their email, I'm like, you cannot do that. That is illegal. You'll get in trouble.
Can we make it say, I want to not unsubscribe? And it's just like,
No, we can't do that.
But the best thing is they only got 6,000 new people to come back to the newsletter. These are people who had unsubscribed, so they're trying to get them back. So out of those 400,000 they subscribed, they got 6,000 back.
Wow.
So they're paying like $800 a person.
That's they probably thought this was a successful campaign.
Maybe.
All things considered. Think how much brand recognition you have now.
Ugh.
I hate it. I hate this reality.
It is the darkest reality. But, there's a tiny ray of hope in the darkest reality, and that's from Germany.
German coalition backs ban on facial recognition in public places.
So,
yeah, you say that, Wendell, but I'm pretty sure this is non-binding.
yes. Yeah, it's not actually against the law. It's just a ban.
Please don't do this, but if you do, we'll look the other way.
Please, government, don't do this in public spaces. If you're a private business, I guess it's fine.
If you're a private business that the government is contracting, that's also fine.
Yeah. Which is really the darkest. It's like, oh, we really want to use this technology, but we can't use it ourselves. But we could pay a company to do it for us. Speaking of which, that could almost fit this headline.
New German government coalition promises not to buy exploits.
This is absolutely, they are lying through their teeth. There's
Also
no way.
non-binding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way that they will do this.
These are both of these articles is a new government looking to get headlines.
Yes. I think like the way that this headline could have some teeth is they should continue to buy the exploits and then immediately publish them. That would do the most good.
The German taxpayers might have an issue with that. And I might as well if I was a German taxpayer.
But they would be doing the world a service. They would be, it's like, good job, lads. That's amazing.
Somehow I don't think they would care.
Probably not. You know who else doesn't care? Jeff Bezos about this headline.
Italy fines Amazon 1.3...
Oh,
Did it not go?
oh, it's a driver crash.
Oh no, give it a second. Oh, it's still...
I've still got video, so I think you're good.
Okay. Now I can't see the headline. I just see Ryan's beautiful face.
There you go.
Oh, that's so small. Italy fines Amazon $1.3 billion for abusing its market position.
Now, the really interesting thing about how they were abusing their market position, I mean, that's a given. How they were abusing their market position has to do with the Amazon marketplace. And this was fascinating. So if you sell, let's say, a bidet, a toilet seat bidet, it's an upgrade for your toilet. Everybody should consider it. They're kind of fun. I miss it in Taiwan. It's like I should get one of those for the house. Anyway, if you sell it through the Amazon warehouse and you sell it directly, Amazon warehouse makes more money off of you than directly. And if you, in your marketplace, in your store as a third-party seller, I can sell it both ways. And if I sell it directly, Amazon will de-emphasize the selling direct to the point that it's a very small option that no one will ever click on versus the other listing. It doesn't give them equal weight. And that was pretty much the only reason they cited, or the main reason that they cited for this ruling.
Well, that's the only way to be part of Prime.
Yeah.
So if they do Prime specials, which they do constantly, you cannot be a part of it unless you're part of that program.
Because Amazon wants to ship it. But Amazon makes a lot more money that way versus having you ship it. Even if you ship it on time, even if you follow the Prime rules and it's like, we got it out the door in time, and it doesn't matter.
Also, that's the only way that your thing will show up in an actual Amazon box.
Oh. Do you think 1.3 billion, do you think that even made Jeff Bezos
They
sweat even
noticed
a little?
that.
Yeah, they noticed that. But, they'll probably appeal it.
Well, is it enough for them to stop doing that program? Probably not.
Probably not. And also, what kind of crazy parallel universe is this? It's 1.3 billion US, 1.129 billion euro. The euro's worth more than $1? That's not how that's designed.
We've been having some drop-offs in the dollar lately. Not sure what's causing it. Couldn't be the money supply.
Too hot for YouTube. Stay tuned. Floatplane. Join us on Floatplane.
We've been compiling stories for that.
Oh, speaking of things that are too hot.
Iceland cuts power to new Bitcoin miners.
So the deal with Iceland is they have lots and lots and lots of extra geothermal energy. Although now it appears not so much extra.
Not as much as they had hoped, perhaps.
I have a question about this picture. What kind of poses are these guys in? I don't understand this picture.
My whole question when I looked at this image was like, how does this have anything to do with geothermal or Bitcoin, or like, what is this? I guess is it pickaxes like they're mining?
You've heard of the Nutcracker Suite, right? This is the Bitcoin ensemble.
Oh, you think this is ballet?
Yeah, but with Bitcoin and math, cryptography.
Has anybody ever done a cryptocurrency themed live dancing show?
and hard hats. Oh, that would be amazing.
Oh, yeah, spend your crypto to vote for your favorite person. Vote now with your phones.
We need to design some sort of Broadway show designed only to confuse future historians.
I feel like that's most Broadway shows. Musicals aren't really a popular art form anymore. Or not as much as they used to be.
Oh, Lord, we can't say that word.
Oh, after outcry, government scraps Shin Bet phone tracking of blank carriers.
Star Trek carriers. Yeah. This is in Israel. We reported on this last week. They rejected the phone tracking thing for contact, figuring out who's been in contact with whoever else. After a lot of people said, wait, you're doing what with their phones?
I love how you keep, I can see the workflow in your head as you keep hitting dead ends of words that you can't say and trying again.
It's like element of P.
Yeah, it's hilarious if you read their quotes in here, because they're like, well, we were only going to do this a little bit, but now I guess we won't.
The subtext of that was, we were already doing this so much that you would be super disturbed, so I have to consciously backpedal what I'm saying so that you don't freak out.
Good sign, though.
Is it?
Well, it's better than the opposite.
Oh, this next story is terrifying.
It's amazing. It's silver iodide. That's what I wondered about.
I also wondered about it. China modified the weather to create clear skies for political celebration. Study.
They were having a big shindig at, I don't even know if I can say that in a happy context. At the square.
In the city name?
Yeah. At the square with the, there was a thing, and it was very bad.
Nothing happened there.
Yes, you should look at it. Well, they wanted clear skies, so they seeded the skies with silver iodide, and that also reduced the pollution. And they're kind of incredulous. They're looking at it. It rained. Of course, there's going to be less pollution. The water washes away. Go ahead.
Well, it knocks it out of the sky too. All that air pollution that they've got. So you just schedule a shower right before the event, and everything's great.
Yeah, it was like the day before they set it up, so it rained, and then it was better. Which, on one hand, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But on the other, I'm like, does that cause problems with weather patterns in other parts of the world or like other provinces?
If you dump from those clouds there, that means those clouds are not dumping somewhere else.
Right.
Think about dams and rivers and how this is going to play out.
Well, and then like the stuff they use for it, I was like, does that have any health effects if it's accumulated a lot over a long time? Do we know?
It's a monument to the hubris of man.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very, very small particles, although that could be worse, I guess.
Well, and over time, I mean, if you do it for enough festivals, that accumulates. How long does it take to break down?
And eventually it won't just be festivals.
Yeah.
There was that guy that turned gray because he was taking silver iodide constantly for like a couple of years.
That's colloidal silver.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess it's slightly different, but not if you drink a lot of rainwater.
I mean, who knows? We don't know
You probably
yet.
have to drink a whole lot.
Technically, we all drink rainwater.
I wonder if it's good for radiation, because iodide for your pituitary radiation protection.
That's potassium iodide.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there's so many different versions. I looked it up because I was curious, and like I found one article on PubMed that was like, we're doing a little bit of research to see how like repeated, exposure to it will do anything, but we're not really sure yet. And I was like, should we be doing that if we don't know what it does?
Really, Krista, is that a question you're asking?
There's a lot of
using untested things.
As he quarantines.
I was going to say there's a lot of that untested thing going on in the modern world.
You say as I'm quarantining, but if that's what this is, I'm all over it. It's nothing. I was right all along. And I'm going to be so smug. I told you.
If that's what it is.
I don't know that's what it is.
You know what else we don't know what it is?
Chinese rideshare app Didi to delist from the New York Stock Exchange.
So they got the early 2016 Apple treatment. They don't know who to write the check to. So they're voluntarily delisting from the New York Stock Exchange because they've got problems at home in China.
Well, no, remember their regulatory scrutiny happened after they went to the New York Stock Exchange instead of the Hong Kong Exchange.
Yeah.
This was them being corrected.
But they're doing it voluntarily. They
Right.
were
Totally
very clear,
voluntarily.
and they said, we've got to fix some of our stuff. We're going to voluntarily do this. It's like, no, you must not have foreign dollars corrupt your stuff. Okay. Sounds good. Our next story, we're switching, what is this, robots? We're switching to robots?
Yes.
Robots is the next thing. So, robots.
DeepMind cracks not conjecture that bedeviled mathematicians for decades.
I love this. This is amazing. DeepMind actually figured something out. This is being verified, but it looks like DeepMind came up with a solution. This is like to do with extra-dimensional knots.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I read this article and I was like, I don't understand what's happening here.
Yeah, well, it's, those angles and all that stuff that's a lot of math. So it's cool to see DeepMind doing something other than video games and regular games.
And AI and other deep learning things. But yeah, math is a really fun thing to turn AI loose on because it's a little easier to deal with and verify and make sure that the thing that you're looking at has actually moved the industry forward and not just some sort of clever illusion.
I think we get in trouble there, though, because that creates the possibility of black box mathematics that then will be used as part of a governance, Like this box said that you were driving poorly and we have to take your license. How does the box know that? No one
Right.
understands.
Well, that's true of any AI stuff.
The box probably also has a deep racial bias.
Yeah.
It's like,
What data set was it trained on?
you're not allowed to have a driver's license. Why? Because of your heritage. But what?
Because people like you have a higher chance of accidents. And it's like, what do you mean people like me? People in your data set. What does that mean?
Well, you can't have a black box mathematician, but you can have a black box DJ.
That radio DJ you hear might already be a robot.
Putting music together? No. The robots have already taken your job. I'm sorry.
Well, I listen to the Christmas station this time of year because I'm sappy. And there's nothing like artistic about how they arrange that. They just play the same 15 songs over and over.
Oh, this is not about the song selection. This is literally the guy talking.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, they took his voice, and there's so much of his voice because he's been recorded for years and years and years. They were able to synthesize every aspect of it.
Well, to be fair, I mean, even doing the commentary on Christmas music, it's just like, oh, this is my favorite Christmas song from this year.
It is who's looking for DJs?
Yeah.
What's the company that owns all of the radio stations? Clear something?
Clear Channel.
Clear Channel. Clear Channel probably owns the rights to that guy's voice and his employment contract, and that's the very sad thing. Because
they'll just fire him, yeah.
If they do that, he should at least be able to make money on that from now until the end of time, because they're going to make money on that from now until the end of time. But sadly, I don't think that's how the rights for that work here in America.
I don't think anybody's going to be looking for it in 10 years.
Yeah.
Because they can.
I hate it when people talk to me on the radio.
I would be fine talking to some sort of virtual AI assistant that's telling me about all the stuff that it did for me. It's like, look, I've tried very hard to find a selection of music that you will find uplifting, and it's like, well, you can try, but
your AI would be so sad.
yeah,
Sir,
exactly.
are you pleased with me? And it's like,
yeah, it's fine. I mean, let's put on some more Weird Al. It's like, no, please, sir, no.
It would make a sad face like this next robot. A new humanoid robot has the most advanced and realistic facial expressions yet.
You should watch the video.
Yeah, can you scroll down the video? They should really see the video.
The video, I don't want to show too much of the video, but it's definitely
it's loading.
A very okay, well, maybe
YouTube's been weird today.
Maybe it's not loading. I don't know. It doesn't like me. You should go watch the thing because, oh boy, it is absolutely insane how much articulation this robot has.
I think
it's crazy.
It's still got a little bit of the uncanny valley, but I think part of that too is because it's all gray.
It definitely has less uncanny valley than any robot that I've seen.
Yeah.
In ever, I think. But there's this human thing to make it anthropomorphic. Now, people actually built it to do this. This is not natural. It doesn't really have AI or anything.
Yeah, and it doesn't. So it's only really realistic from the neck up, and then it does do hand gestures and stuff. But everything else, you can still see all the wires and stuff running from it.
Yeah, it doesn't have functional legs. And his little robot buddy here in the background is just pure existential dread. That's what that expression is.
You guys seeing all the metaverse stuff? Everything everybody's doing in VR, everybody's leaving the legs off.
Yeah.
It'll be a legless world eventually.
Legs are hard to animate,
I can't wait for this technology and VTuber technology to cross over, where we've got this thing that somebody's puppeteering from somewhere else, and that's like the most popular YouTuber ever.
It's by somewhere else, you mean Beijing.
Or you could get your own robot version of the streamer, of the VTuber.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, that's a dark reality.
I'm pretty sure that that's already a thing with those, what was it, the Hatsune Miku, like, virtual companion things you can buy in Japan?
But at least Hatsune Miku isn't a real person. It'd be more distressing if someone could buy, like, a little representation of you. Store.level1text.com.
Speaking of which...
Inside Tesla, as Elon Musk pushed on unflinching vision for self-driving cars.
This talks about self-driving cars, but it's really about the accidents with self-driving cars and how after all of the accidents that make national news, Musk brings all of his engineers into a room and he's like, we need the car to not run into anything ever.
And, like, you know, he's like, man, that was a really good speech. I'm such a good leader. And it's like, what? Do you think they were trying to make it crash? Maybe it's the constant marketing pushes you make for it?
think about, well, yeah, that's the point I wanted to make is if you look at this timeline and when these horrible meetings happen where it's like, listen, this is bad, we have to fix this. Think about what he was saying to the press the next day.
Right.
Full self-driving.
Full self-driving, yeah.
Full autonomy.
You don't, yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah. I thought you were going to go somewhere else with the timing. It's like all of these meetings were after the horrible accidents and not before.
Well, yeah, that's another good point.
I mean, there are meetings after the accidents, but also before.
Do you think any of those engineers have the balls to be like, well, Mr. Musk, maybe you should stop telling everybody that this is full self-driving? Maybe that's part of the problem.
No, it totally is full self-driving, just if you're not an idiot.
Well, it's like, but you can't trust the public. Like, ugh.
They also, the article author does a really good job pointing out how there was a time when Tesla cars also had radar, and one of the accidents was a car that ran into a thing that should have been easily detectable with radar. And it doesn't say it, but it goes, you know, radar wasn't operational at that time because Musk was trying to figure out a way to do away with radar because it costs too much.
I think he was like, let's just do cameras.
It was sideways.
Yeah. It was like, oh, that's the sky. That was not the sky. It was a tractor trailer. But the radar should have stopped that. It did not.
Don't trust marketing is the point of that story.
Meanwhile, at Mercedes
gets AV approval for German roads.
So this is Mercedes experimenting with full self-driving like technology, which is not actually full self-driving, but is really just driver assist technology.
That is a good-looking road. They're the first to level 3 that passed this this crazy thing. Tesla has not done it. You think there's gonna be another meeting?
There's a meeting going on right now, today. It's like, I know you all were planning to take off Christmas, but we've got to do better than Mercedes.
Well, you're going to be here with us, right, Elon? And he's like, no, I got to go see my 10 kids.
Oh, he's not doing that.
He's got to go skiing in Colorado.
I also like our next story because it's kind of foreshadowing.
Tyson Foods plans to spend $1.3 billion to automate meat plants.
They're looking at what's happening at Kellogg's, which we're going to cover in the business section. And they're saying, you know what? We can just head this problem off at the pass.
Well, not only that, but this whole anti-work thing that's going on.
Yeah.
They got to be feeling that.
We could just pay more. No. No. We'll never do that.
Well, they are going to pay more, but they're going to pay for robots.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that'll be less because once you get the robots paid off, that's just free labor.
Now, do you think that leads to a better piece of chicken or a worse piece of chicken?
I think ultimately that leads to a better piece of chicken, but at first it's worse.
It's probably worse. Well, and then you have, I guess it opens up new jobs because you need people to take care of them. And then they underpay the people who are taking care of the robots. And then we end up in the same situation like 10 years down the line.
I think we also get in a situation where if they put all kinds of sensors and stuff on the machine, we get this crazy machine learning data set about producing the optimal piece of raw chicken.
Raw.
Which can be converted to human meat easily.
That'll be the new mobster thing. Instead of them having pig farms, it's like robotic chicken processing facilities.
Uh-oh.
It's like we can dispose of bodies easily on a pig farm. We can dispose of bodies easily by letting the robots do terrible, terrible things to it.
That's just what they've been trained to do.
Woo!
Oh, we're just skipping right to it. Inside the experiment to create Mars on Earth. This is kind of more of an art project, I would say, than a...
I've read about this a lot. They didn't talk about how much people break into this to say, oh, look what's going on.
It's basically people set up a dome in the desert and are kind of LARPing as people who live on Mars to see what problems they run into.
One of the problems they will not run into Mars are the people coming to harass them.
Oh, we don't know that.
Well, or that will be a much bigger problem if it happens.
Yeah. But then we start taking space pistols.
So
There they are collaborating.
seems like very cramped quarters.
I would not enjoy that.
quarters.
I like
what
that.
Do you think?
Oh, you go, Ryan.
What do you think the level of like daily arguments and or daily sexual tension is in that little bubble?
I feel like the arguments would get, even if it wasn't an outright like explosion argument, there would always be like a tension.
Yeah.
Where it was like, get out of my way. I'm trying to get to the frozen peas.
Look, they have all of this dried stuff.
You know what they don't have a picture of here is the bathroom.
I thought you were going to say astronaut ice cream because I also thought about that.
It's just a hole outside.
It won't decompose.
They're not allowed
You
to
gotta
go outside unless they're in their suits, are they? I think, aren't they trying to make it realistic?
Yeah. Musk wants to get off this planet.
Yeah, this is not great. You know who else doesn't want to come back to this planet quite so quickly? But they're, they have near misses, and it's a little scary, a little bit sphincter puckering.
Space station dodges space debris from decades-old Pegasus rocket.
So this wasn't the weapons test debris. This was yet more debris that just happened to be in orbit.
Just filling space up with the junk, just like we filled up this planet with junk. Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. Tab didn't load. Oh, we're just skipping.
We could just, I don't know.
Okay. Oh, it's chaotic. DeepMind tests the limits of large AI language systems with 280 billion parameter model. Blah, blah, blah.
So not only is it doing math, it's also now trying to do natural language. So it's like
GPT-3 is 175 billion, so quite an improvement.
Do you think? I really think that there's an opportunity to study like what GPT-3 does with AI Dungeon and what this DeepMind thing does with AI Dungeon, because if it immediately goes to, like Willy Wonka stuff, if the both of them do that, that says something about our culture and the data set that we're feeding these AIs.
I think we would just expect it to be more descriptive of Willy Wonka, right?
There's
It's definitely going to go the same place.
Remember the episode of Star Trek where the aliens accidentally abducted humans and they couldn't get them back to Earth, and there was only one human novel about a crappy casino, and the aliens read the book and they're like, oh, this must be like the type of environment that humans like existing in, and so they'll put them in there. That's going to happen. That there's going to be something that discovers human DNA and DeepMind, and it's like, oh, DeepMind's going to create the ideal human environment, and then it's going to be like the Wonkaverse that we experienced in AI Dungeon.
The worst Wonkaverse where you rip off his face and become the factory owner.
I mean, it's going the AI is probably going to outlive humanity. So I mean, why not?
How close will they get to chocolate in that scenario?
It'll look and act like chocolate, but they won't have any idea what the taste is. Also covered in Star Trek.
That was also covered in The Matrix when they were talking about steak, and they're like, we don't really know what steak really tastes like. We just know what The Matrix thinks it tastes like.
Krista, Star Trek did it first.
Oh, sorry. What you guys seen the trailer for the new Matrix movie?
Yeah.
It looks... There's a discussion
weird.
about it
Kind
on
of
the forum.
bizarre.
I can't decide if I'm interested in it or not.
I wonder if they're deliberately trying to do the whole uncanny valley thing with the CGI, like putting a thin veneer of CGI even over the live action scenes, just to make it a little bit uncanny valley.
It feels too clean. Like, something I liked about the original Matrix's art direction was like it felt a little bit gritty.
Oh yeah.
But now it feels like just too sterile. But that might be a conceptual choice. I don't know.
Think about like when you're playing GTA. It's like you get the really high rise, apartment in the really big building. It's millions of dollars after you do your heist, and it's super clean like that. It's unrealistically clean.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty scary. And then finally, our last story.
Exit pod. Sarko suicide capsule hopes to enter Switzerland.
Yeah, so this one was the 3D printed one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it did get approval.
It's being displayed in art museums and like art galleries right now. And there's part of me that was like, I used to go to art galleries to like get hope about the world. And now the best hope we have is a suicide capsule. What does that say?
I mean,
but I don't think they're not necessarily marketing it toward you, Krista. They're marketing it toward people who are in horrible, horrible pain and are never getting better.
Yeah.
Or even just people that wake up every morning and it's like, I can't control my bodily functions anymore. I'm tired of this. It's time for it to be over.
Yeah. And here's the thing that immediately came to my mind, and I can't think of any reason for this. Why do we not use this for capital punishment?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
It is absolutely painless. You just go to sleep.
You could pretend you're going into the future like one of the cryopods in Futurama.
And you just don't wake up again.
Although, like, imagine if you did 3D print that. I mean, we don't have a printer big enough for that. Some of those parts are really big.
Yeah.
But imagine if you could construct this in your house and then someone finds that. What a weird find.
Yeah. The other thing I thought about too was like, what if you're taller than that little pod?
Well, you could just fold up. I mean, I'm sure
You
it's
just curl up into it.
Kirsty, you called it an exit pod because obviously you're comparing it to the exit bag,
Right.
which you can put together for like $50. This is useless. You can just be in your. Wouldn't it be more comfortable to just be in your bed?
Yeah.
It's the holidays. People are most depressed
This time of year.
this time of year.
Become undepressed by joining
You
November.
know how when you buy a new car during the holidays, they put the big bow on it? How great would it be to put the big bow on that machine right to your house?
And they put like commercials for it on TV. Finance it for only 100 payments of $59.99.
I was going to say, get undepressed by working on your Devember project and showing us all at the forum. And then you could be depressed after you don't win.
Oh, that's sad.
No, it's fine. All right, what do we got lined up for tomorrow?
Oh, I looked at the one tab, but I don't remember.
There's a lot of business stories. Yeah.
I think it's business and social, probably.
Neat. So,
Bye. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Level 1 News. Today is December 15th, and today we are doing business and social. Also, did the cat come so we can see him, or is he still just staring at you?
No, he's behind me on the couch, but you guys are probably too cropped.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't see him.
He's
It's
back there. He's
fine.
meowing. Discord mutes the meows. He's meowing hard back there.
Meow.
You know who else is meowing hard after their court case?
Apple won't have to make the App Store changes ordered in Epic ruling while case is appealed.
So this was pretty crappy. Apple got all the press by saying, "Hey, we're going to let app developers, have a link so they can charge their own money." And then in the 11th hour, they freaked out and said, "Oh, wait a minute, we went to implement this, but gosh darn it, it's so much work to implement this because we're going to have to audit third-party payment processors to make sure people don't get scammed." It's like, wait a minute, that's not how that works at all, Apple. You're being disingenuous. Really surprised that Epic didn't file a ruling saying to the court, "Hey, payment processing doesn't work the way that Apple says it does in their filing. This is stupid. You should stop doing this."
Will Apple just appeal this indefinitely, like over and over and over again, because then they don't have to implement it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Easy.
I think Apple's saying one thing, and then when it comes time actually doing something different is a bit of a theme this week.
Surprise.
I really look forward to all of the comments that are from the Apple apologists that are, no, Tim Cook didn't negotiate with, directly with used kidneys in the whole, like, China deal thing. He's always looking out for people's best interests. These cases show that that's not the case.
I bet Tim Cook has got like 4 different possible matches on deck if he ever needs a kidney.
I think that he's got to have the writing on the wall. I think he's going to get out. I think he's going to try to retire sooner rather than later, especially if he can find his replacement. And like, if he has the opportunity to go quietly without upsetting all of the powerful people around him, I think he's absolutely going to do that.
Do you think those kind of people think about retirement in the way that we do?
I think that he is, because he's kind of painted into a corner. He's like, where do I have to go from here? I've got $1 trillion, $2 trillion company. it's only downhill from here because there's only so many kidneys you can harvest before it really starts to get to you.
You can only be the top mobile
You know where
phone
I would
maker
love to
in
see him
so many
go?
markets.
Into one of those Icelandic pods.
From the last episode. Well, I'm sure that there's a lot of people in the advertising industry that feel the same way.
Apple reaches quiet truce over iPhone privacy changes.
This is, again, like the Facebook tracking and some of the ad revenue stuff. They've really relaxed what is allowed after freaking everybody out. So, again, they got that press high, and everybody's got the feel good, oh, Apple's protected my privacy. And materially, not so much.
Kind of just gave in.
Yeah. I think there were a lot of companies that were probably threatening with the whole antitrust thing. And, this Epic case could have gone a different way. If in 10 years, I think that companies like Facebook and Google could chip away at that. But ultimately, Apple's in the business for the same reasons. So Apple's ad business got to so much better so quickly that it is suspicious, if you think. So, I don't know. This seems like self-preservation as much as anything. Oh, and we had an Amazon outage this week.
That was the big story this week. Everyone freaked out.
That was a lot of fun. It was only U.S. East, but everybody only puts their stuff in U.S. East, so it was sort of a big outage.
An Amazon server outage caused problems for Alexa, Ring, Disney Plus, and deliveries.
Also, Roomba. You can't vacuum your house
Yeah, a lot
without
of people
AWS.
were upset by that. They're like, my Roomba's not working. I find it funny how many people personify the Roomba.
Yeah.
Like, it's like your pet died. They're like, he's not working. Resuscitate him, doctor.
How insane is it that, it's like we're going to get into the future and it would be like, oh, my tractor doesn't work anymore because Tesla's weather station is down. I was like, what? I was like, yeah, in New York, Tesla had this amazing lab facility with a thing and your tractor would work better depending on what the weather was.
I was going to
What?
harvest my crops, but, they were seeding some clouds over here, and now I can't because it's raining all the time.
Yeah, they bulldozed his lab to make room for a subdivision about 30, 40 years ago, so that tractor hasn't worked in forever. That's basically where we're headed.
Headed.
Yeah, we're kind of already there.
What if Jeff Bezos, for whatever reason, like dementia or whatever, he was just like, turn it all off. They don't deserve it.
He's surrounded himself with so many yes men that they don't even question it. They're like, okay.
My other favorite thing that was out was the McDonald's self-ordering kiosks. The kiosks were still working, but all the pictures of all of the stuff,
They didn't load.
It apparently comes from like an S3 bucket or something. How insane is that they don't even have like the local menu pictures in it? They just never planned on Amazon being down. Maybe you would think that that would be cached or something. The ordering kiosk maybe doesn't need to download the picture of the milkshake every single time.
Oh, what if they update it?
It could update it in like an hour or 2 or 5.
Unacceptable.
Or not update it if it's down. It's like, hey, I tried to get to Amazon for the new milkshake pictures, but Amazon was down, so I should just delete them all.
Surely you could
We
set it up so there's a
determined that the
fallback.
number of sesame seeds on the Big Mac picture makes people uneasy, so we've removed one, and it must be pushed immediately.
That is the kind of insanity that we deal with marketing places.
Engagement challenge. Leave a comment below if you've experienced that, because a lot of you probably have. Oh, speaking of deja vu.
Amazon worker union in Alabama will hold new vote after claims of illegal misconduct.
So this was the first Amazon warehouse to try to unionize, and the finding of illegality here is mainly around a post box. Amazon put a post box, a U.S. Postal Service post box, for the workers to vote, but this thing said they did it in such a way that it seemed like to the workers that Amazon was involved somehow in the unionization process and was watching them.
Yeah,
keeping
it was
an
like
eye
a
on them.
branded mailbox. So they were like, oh, this is an Amazon box. Like, they're going to be checking this.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that
There was I saw a new headline right before we started doing this. At least one shop voted yes.
what?
Like one of the shops that was voting
One of
on
the
them.
Amazon shops, one of the warehouses voted yes.
Oh, other than the one in Alabama?
I don't know if it was the one in Alabama or not, but I think maybe there was more than one in Alabama.
Oh, maybe. Well, that would be news because they said none of them voted yes before.
Oh, weird.
Well, it
How,
hadn't
when you
happened
start
yet,
having
right?
it.
This was the recount.
Oh, interesting. Starbucks also unionized recently. and that was really, really interesting. I don't think we have a story about the Starbucks one, but that'll be next week because that's a developing story. Speaking of things handled poorly.
Ugh, this was terrible. Better.com CEO fires 900 employees over Zoom. And what this headline leaves out, he also, he cries about it.
Well, he said that he cried about it the last time he had to do it. So, the last time? Yeah, so the meeting was like, hey, everybody, welcome. If you're in this meeting, sorry, I've got some bad news. You're fired.
That was very abrupt, at least in this version of it.
That's the meeting. See ya.
He's since apologized.
Yeah. It's like, oh, did people not like that?
Especially not like right before Christmas. Do they not like? He was like, oh, you'll get a message from HR with your, your severance stuff. But yeah, you're fired. Bye.
Axios claims they have a scoop on this one.
Scoop, over 200 papers quietly sue Big Tech.
This is over the ad stuff. So the ad stuff that came out in another case, like some stuff that was submitted to the federal government, where it said that Google and Facebook sort of worked together to do some stuff on ad prices. Didn't really look too good in that documentation. That is the basis of a couple of hundred lawsuits. They're not all one lawsuit either. They're a bunch of, sort of a death by 1,000 paper cuts kind of a thing.
Yeah, but isn't this just a dead industry trying to not die?
I thought that there's something even darker going on here in that a lot of these papers are actually owned by larger entities. So like where your small regional paper definitely probably suffered.
Your small regional paper is gone.
Yeah,
that
it's on
model is
Facebook.
over.
Yeah, this looks like action by billionaires that are like, hey, we can squeeze some blood from this here.
Yeah, the last of it, the last drops.
So probably won't actually help the newspaper industry, but the newspaper industry, probably could have done better with their ads had this not been going on.
Don't close the pop-up on the next page. It redirects you if you do.
Oh, we don't have a pop-up on here.
It didn't give me a pop-up.
Oh.
The State Journal one?
Madison.com?
Yeah, no pop-up.
Yeah, I don't have one. Layoffs of 12 Middleton-based Raven Software workers prompt 2 days of walkouts.
The headline should have said Blizzard Activision Software Company.
Yeah, this is like a subsidiary.
It's like, Raven, who is that? Oh, Blizzard Activision.
Oh.
Now it makes sense. It took the article author a little while to get there.
Yeah, they did mention it.
Yeah,
I think in both of these last two cases, those anti-work people are getting with these guys now.
Yeah.
Both in the case of Raven and the other one, the papers.
Yeah.
My understanding of this story was like they had some people who were kind of like temporary workers, and they were promised that they were going to get a longer term position, and then they were just like fired abruptly.
Yep.
And people were upset about that because they're like,
you get the impression also that it came down from Activision.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't the Raven guys necessarily. They were told like, oh yeah, you got to cut.
It was the QA testing people, I think.
We don't do stack ranking. You got to get rid of 10% of your staff.
Cut quality control, I guess.
It worked for Microsoft.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
iDad is almost here. Take a stand against Disney Plus on December 10. I had never heard of this.
So the free software. Go ahead.
The timing on this is not great because it's going to be well past December 10th by the time they see it.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh well. This is the International Day
against DRM.
Against DRM, yeah. And so on Disney Plus, you're supposed to leave a negative review, which Google's going to delete immediately anyway. Don't worry.
And cancel.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and cancel your subscription.
Joke's on you. I don't have a subscription to Disney Plus. Fighting the good fight every day.
I wonder how the pirates make their voice heard. It's like, I have all the Disney Plus content, and I just want to let you know that as long as you're doing this, I'm never going to pay for it. Something like that. I don't know.
So what you could do instead is you could convince whoever Netflix account you're stealing to cancel that.
I would be fine with that. I don't use Netflix a whole lot either. We have access to it, but...
Now, our next story is amazing because there's actually some subtlety and nuance to it.
Reddit users are taking up the cause of Kellogg's striking workers.
Now, in case you're not following, Kellogg's did this thing that was pretty genius, but hideously evil.
Yeah, in a horrible sort of way.
So they have a bunch of older employees that have a lot of benefits and are well paid and are very happy to work overtime because you get even more money if you get overtime, or at least so the saying goes. and they started hiring a bunch of new people, but the new people didn't have the same structure as the old people. And so Kellogg's was, I think, kind of hoping that the old people would break with the new people to prevent unionization for even more worker benefits. And the older workers went on strike with the younger workers and blah, blah, blah. So Kellogg's announced they're going to fire 1,400 people that are striking, give or take, and that they're going to have no problem hiring a bunch of replacements. So it turns out that a lot of the people that have applied to be replacements were actually just millennials trolling the job application process, up to and including interviews and doing Zoom calls and be like, yeah, no, that sounds great. I'm going to show up for work on Monday. And then they don't show up.
That's how work people. They organized it.
They did it. Yeah. They did it all online. So where Kellogg's messed up here is they put all their forms online and they're like, this is fine.
Well, even the stuff that they did in person, where they would like interview somebody and do some work and show up and blah blah. They were even talking about it's like maybe you should actually, if you're in the area, go and show up for like 30 minutes or an hour, because then they have an ungodly amount of paperwork, because they actually do have to pay you for the 30 minutes or an hour or something like that you're there before you leave. So you end up wasting an ungodly amount of their time.
I don't have the kind of like free time to go do that, but I'm impressed that other people do.
Well, but that also makes you unemployable in that kind of context from then on. And I don't think most people care about it, but they might eventually.
You go on some kind of list that was like, hey, didn't you participate in whatever this thing is that's going on with Kellogg's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even if they don't know that you did that on purpose, they see that you took a job for 30 minutes and walked away.
You just don't put that on your resume.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, would they know necessarily?
I guess that's...
If you don't put it on
Although
your
in
resume.
this day and age, I bet
there's a list.
Big companies are going to have a team, like the social media team. You know how they search your social media? They're going to have a team that's looking to see if you were involved in anything like this.
I don't think so, because a lot of this kind of stuff, like hiring, is all automated now. It's all bots. They probably have no idea.
Yeah, I can't. I struggle to characterize this as any kind of like negative connotation, anti-work. This seems like the most hilarious, like Schadenfreude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If the anti-work people organized this and pulled it off as well as is described here, not even mad. That's actually genuinely impressive.
Yeah, but you like your shredded wheat, don't you?
I can do without it for a while. It's fine.
Oh, all right.
I haven't even been able to buy it lately, so.
I just don't
What
buy
happens
cereal.
when these people target the Pepsi Corporation or whoever owns Orange Crush?
I mean, maybe we'll go back to like remember when we had like the regional sodas? Maybe we'll go back to that.
There's an orange soda that gets made around here.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly wouldn't be terrible if there's something to replace it. If we're all just sitting around helpless because only the PepsiCo knows how to make soda, that's disappointing.
That's why we have anti-monopoly laws, right? Like, so if one goes down, we're not in a helpless position.
Maybe we'll have food trucks of soda, and it's like, this is Bob's, all he does all day is make this, and I don't even know it turns out shoe polish is in this, but I guess it's not. It's delicious. I don't know.
I only drink locally sourced sugar water.
It's fresh from the springs of Winchester, Kentucky.
What's funny is if this were happening with like alcoholic stuff, there probably are enough craft breweries to substitute in for like the Anheuser-Busch's and that kind of stuff. We have it with alcohol, but we don't have it with real food processing, which really says something about our priorities, I think.
There is local food area, but it's not large scale, and you have to look for it. Like
there's nowhere local that's making cereal.
There's a local place that makes flour and stuff, though, and mills flour and oats.
Yeah, artisanal flour.
Yeah.
Maybe we could hit up the Amish for some cereal. We get a lot of Amish around here.
Yeah.
You don't want to get in business with the Amish.
There's a great Amish grocery store near my mom I like to go to.
Speaking of people you don't want to go into business with.
Sony PlayStation executive fired after amateur... I probably can't say that word.
Nope, can't say that word.
Amateur hunter sting video posted online. You
should read these videos because this is going to be a new thing, especially if we're all trapped inside for another year. This is how we entertain ourselves. It's going to be incredible.
So this happened a while back, but here's the crazy thing. The same exact headline, except swap Sony with NVIDIA, played out a week later. I didn't put it in here, but one of the big NVIDIA top guys also gone for this very same reason.
Yeah. And it happened forever ago. They tried to meet underage people online, apparently, and there's video, and there's documentation, and there's text, and there's just all kinds of stuff, and now it's gone. So, I don't know.
There is no way that you could misconstrue what happened in those text messages as he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
Horrifying. But also, like, a little bit vigilante justice, so that part is not palatable, but at the same time, it's like...
he's gone, but it's also like, that shouldn't have happened at all.
There are whole YouTube channels that only do this.
And then I'm thinking about Assange from yesterday's news. And it's like, wait a minute.
They did use that against him, didn't they? And I'm not saying he did it. I'm saying they probably concocted that type of thing. And they definitely did it with the girl.
Yeah. So,
you think they did that to this guy? I think this guy was guilty.
yeah, it seemed it's the text messages are unsettling to the point that like you have trouble digesting food after that. Your body's just like, what is this?
I didn't read them.
It's you probably better off not.
Yeah. Listen, I get enough darkness by reading all the other news stories. I didn't need to seek out all the letters.
You're probably also better off not using Windows 11.
Oh, I got switched to that this week. Microsoft backtracks on Windows 11's controversial default browser changes.
Yeah, so a bunch of people made a bunch of videos that were like, how is this not antitrust? And Microsoft said, that we probably should change that.
I'm amazed that they didn't wait until they got a lawsuit. Like, they're like, I guess we'll change it now.
There was documentation to refer back to in the eventual lawsuit. It's like, people were noticing this in 2005. Why did it take you 7 years to change this? It's, well, we just got a little excited about how good Edge is. Yeah, so this will make it easier to switch to Firefox or Chrome or Opera or Brave or whatever else for common things that the operating system does that need a web browser.
They'll find another way to nag you.
Yes.
Yeah.
They still have all the ads in the start menu and all the other stuff that's basically fraud. So, we'll see. It's fun. Speaking of basically fraud.
Elon Musk says the U.S. should get rid of all government subsidies.
When they asked him about subsidies for EVs, he doubled down and was like, yeah, Tesla doesn't get any subsidies anymore. We wouldn't want our competition to have subsidies.
Now that I've used the ladder to climb up to this
Exactly.
cliff, I want to pull it up after me. That's what that means.
Exactly. He can't get them anymore. So obviously, and I agree with him. We should end them all, but he should pay back everything that he got.
Like, I read this article and I was so mad, and I had that same thought of like, how is this man still alive? Like, I'm not saying anyone should do anything. I wouldn't do anything to him, but like,
What was the
how
guy's
do you
name?
make statements like this and then expect to just like not have any consequences for it?
What was the guy's name from Fifth Element? Was it Zorn? His new haircut looks like Zorn.
Oh yeah, he's got like the
yeah.
Oh, the Gary
not a good
Oldman
look.
character?
Yeah. It's just like...
yeah, he's got the ascot on too, and I'm like, could you be any more douchey? Like,
Well, I think that's for facial covering, Krista.
Speaking of just distasteful things,
Ubisoft's NFT announcement gets more than 95% dislikes on YouTube.
you mostly can't see that anymore, but there are a few places you can still see the dislikes. And so this was Ubisoft Quartz, and they're saying, "Hey, we're gonna do the NFT thing," and people did not like that.
No,
They've since pulled the announcement. Actually, they unlisted the video.
But they're still doing it.
It's kind of weird the way they're doing it, because they call them drops, and I don't think you necessarily get the NFTs just for playing the game. You have to be involved in the event as well.
That's Twitch does that with the Twitch drops. It's always telling me, like, I get the little notification. It's like, do you want drops for Overwatch? And I'm like, I don't care about skins. So.
That's going to be like an esports resume thing. It's like, oh yes, I've got the esports PUBG mode. Look, I've got this card and this card and this card, and I participated in this event and this card and this other thing. And it becomes like a resume. It's like, yes, we need an esports person that was present for all of these events, and you just have that.
Not even present, but it's that how many drops did you sell on your stream?
But they
And
also,
that's how you prove your track record.
the genius thing they did here is that these things have a chain of custody, and everybody's name gets engraved on it in game. So think about these e-girls. When they get a hold of an NFT and they mint it for the first time, it's only belong to them. What are people going to pay for that?
NFT bathwater. Oh yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, not even just e-girl, but just like big streamers like Lyric or something. Ooh, Moon owned this.
You know what's going to be crazy? And this is like so dark and so horrible, and anthropologists are going to crucify us for this, but they're going to have like a piece of armor from a game that's the lower body armor for a woman. And it's going to like, I can buy her panties.
NFT. It's just, and they're wearing that in PUBG. Speaking of
Visa launches crypto consulting services and push for mainstream adoption.
remember when they would cancel your card if you bought crypto on Coinbase?
They've changed their mind.
We want to get in on that now.
Remember when they would shut down your bank account by tattling on you to Fifth Third or the other national banks? It's like, no, they're into crypto, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, we've closed your account because Jamie Dimon and the others were like, no.
It has happened very rapidly, but everybody in big business is all of a sudden pro Bitcoin. All of a sudden, I mean, it's just, I don't know what happened. A memo, I guess.
Are they worried about the state of the U.S. dollar?
The inflation numbers came out. Oh boy, float plane too hot for
Too hot for YouTube.
This is a happy conclusion to something we covered a few times in the ongoing spat between Google and Roku.
Google settle messy battle over YouTube distribution.
So Roku kind of said, hey, Google is asking us to do things that they're not allowed by law to ask us to do. And Google said, no, they're not doing that. And then Roku leaked an email, and now we have this.
Seems like Roku pretty much got the upper hand here. Didn't you get that impression? They didn't lay it out, but it seemed like basically Google was like, yeah, we can't get away with that.
Yeah, it seemed like that Roku went to a Congress critter and said, hypothetically, we're not saying that Google's doing this, but hypothetically, if they were doing this and we had proof of it, would that be crazy? And Rosenworcel or Lena Khan was like, yes, I need that. Give me that. And so then they went back to Google and said, now will you negotiate? And then we have this.
But they still should have done it.
Yeah. Fun times. I wonder if this has anything to do with the recent adoption of cryptocurrency. I can't imagine how they would be connected.
Australian man Craig Wright wins U.S. court battle for Bitcoin fortune worth billions.
This is in The Guardian. I'm surprised that the case went this way. He still hasn't demonstrated that he has any access to the Bitcoin in question. He basically won this case, but he does have to award $100 million to a joint think tank that belonged to David Kleiman, who is deceased.
I saw this headline from both angles. I saw it as people saying he won, like this is, and I saw it as people saying he lost $100 million.
Yeah, but $100 million out of 50 billion, is that really a loss?
I mean, I would pay it.
Yeah, it's like this is going to go away forever for, and I don't have to worry about 25 billion being lost.
I was just going to give that to my cats anyway.
They're going to be like the crazy cat lady in the Aristocats. She leaves her fortune to her cats and her butler gets mad.
Think about how many cats you could support with $50 billion.
Exactly two.
Speaking of things that have a moral obligation.
Meta has a moral obligation to make its mental health research transparent, scientists say. This was quite a few scientists, right, who signed this?
At first, the way that I understood the situation, I didn't agree with this because it's like, oh, it's a company that did some internal research. They're not under any obligation to do anything. But the article talks about some of the stuff that they uncovered in researching this and the analytics activity that they have from people that they knew were kids and underage that were using the platform and how they react and like the whole endorphin button thing. And it's like, oh, we probably should actually disclose some of this because we otherwise don't have access to this kind of data to make any kind of determination.
I actually do agree with them. They shouldn't be compelled for this. I mean, they should from a, human rights standpoint, but they shouldn't be compelled to. But another thing to consider is remember all those researchers who have set up really good research on Facebook and been shut down because it might reveal some of this.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, I like you, I think I was initially like, no, they shouldn't, but because this is the only source of this kind of information and this is the only kind of thing like this that exists, we probably do need to know.
Yeah, either open it up to all researchers or release your own data.
Yeah.
But they can't because what they found, is devastating.
It's terrible, yeah.
So very, very devastating. I saw this somewhere else and somebody in the comments had linked to a thing with Twitter. And Twitter had figured out that on the initial page load, if you display the number of messages and like notifications immediately, that wasn't as endorphin producing as displaying no notifications and then a second or two later having that pop up asynchronously. Like
Because you think they're new.
Yes, and so it's like, and
Look, yeah, something came up.
That little tiny decision was done deliberately. What's going on, over in Zuckerland?
That's kind of brilliant. Like, it's horrible, but that's brilliant.
Remember last week, the Instagram thing where they just added the animations?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that their research showed that would be a huge gain in terms of people's mindsets, the manipulation.
Do you think they'll add parental controls that are like, hey, turn off the manipulation stuff for my kids?
Oh, well.
No.
Instagram.
The parental controls are only take a break, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's what we were getting ready to do this story. Instagram to introduce parental control features next year.
Yeah, it's just you can only use Facebook for 5 minutes at a time, or
Yeah,
Instagram
there's like
for
different
5 minutes.
increments, and then it'll pop up and remind you, hey, you've been scrolling a while.
Hey, your 5 minutes with Sniper Wolf is over.
Touch some grass, nerd. That's what that should say.
That's this CNN business this is a giant fail because there's other stuff happening.
Right-wing activists are openly weaponizing Twitter's new private media policy.
That's a picture of Jack Dorsey. He's out.
He's not even there anymore. It's lazy.
He's only being consulted, and one gets the impression that he was against this policy for these reasons. But yeah, Twitter's
This
just saying,
policy is ridiculous. Like, they are literally saying in this article, without saying it in so many words, CNN, they're good at spinning it. They're saying, hey, we created this to help us, not to help you. You're not allowed to use this. Because it was supposed to be for people who didn't want to show up in memes or whatever, right? So people are like, well, hey, you're outing people for not wearing masks. You're outing people for showing up to these events and stuff. I don't want to be on that. It's my face. I don't want it. Why would it not apply?
and then CNN is mad that their media is being taken down for those reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, CNN's like, no, this doesn't count. This is for us. This is not for you. You don't belong on Twitter.
We were a journalist documenting the thing. That's different than you showing up with your camera and just taking pictures. And it's like,
Well,
disagree.
they're arguing not even just for themselves. They're arguing for all those other... Because those little Twitter feeds and stuff, they're not, mainstream media.
It should be all or none. Like, either everyone can or no one can use it.
And what
Well,
other
I think they are somewhat applying it across the board, which is what CNN's upset about.
and what other evidence do we have that there's some manipulation going on that's like, no, you must get your information from an approved source, not from randos? Well, we have this.
Twitter suspends account providing... I actually don't know how to pronounce her name.
That's probably good for the algorithm.
Yeah. Trial updates.
That. GM trial updates, not the GM that you're thinking of. The flight, tattoo
General
island.
molesters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've it was an account that was just providing trial updates that had 500,000 followers, and Twitter was like, nope, we want no part of this, which is crazy.
Now, they said it was platform manipulation and spam. How exactly could you twist that into those offenses?
Disturbing.
And that Twitter account had a massive following. The level of engagement was so high that that's what triggered the bots to be like, this has to be spam. There's no way they're getting this real engagement. But no, it was all real.
And they didn't put it back at all.
No.
And they also failed. Like there's this courtroom sketch thing. It's like, oh, what's going on at the trial? I think there was another one that was her sketching the courtroom sketch person, which you got to figure is some kind of like psychological thing.
Inception.
Yeah, it was like this courtroom sketch person was sketching her, sketching them, which is crazy.
I get the impression that she's a fairly intelligent woman, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
I think she knows what's about to happen. She's just having what fun she can because it's over for her.
Yeah. Disturbing. Definitely disturbing. This is also another fun one.
Not really fun. Sad. Debt collectors can now text, email, and DM you on social media. Slide into your DMs.
What happens when it's a case of mistaken identity? Because
Yeah.
I have people that are calling a phone number that I've had for years and years and years that are trying very hard to get a hold of somebody, and I've told everybody that calls, like, this is not
Not
the
who you
wrong
think it
number,
is,
it's not
yeah.
who you think it is. They don't care.
I think it's by design because it does still count as them contacting you, even if you don't respond.
What if you leave them on red?
I mean,
Doesn't matter. In court, they could make a point. They're like, no, we tried. Here's the proof, and it still counts against you.
Scary. Really, really scary.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I do have a Facebook account just for testing stuff. What if somebody tried to contact me on there? I was like, oh no, that counts. I haven't logged into it in like 4 years.
It's that demand for immediacy. Like, I need you to look at this and respond to it now. I hate that.
Yeah. Scary.
Yeah. Especially, for debt collection, too.
Really scary. I don't have a good lead-in for the next story. But,
no, I'm not sure how to pronounce this word either. Rohingya refugees sue Facebook for $150 billion, alleging it helped perpetuate genocide in Myanmar.
And this is from the Washington Post. So it'll be interesting to see how this case proceeds.
We also have to remember that the government is the one who committed this genocide. So they are not going to cooperate with anything here.
No.
I don't know. It's definitely blaming the gun, right? I mean, Facebook is awful, and it did probably lead to a lot of deaths here. But can we hold them accountable
for how someone else used it?
Isn't that the whole 230 thing?
Yeah.
Do we need the statistics on and the analytics on the like mental health thing from 3 stories ago about how likely we knew they would push the button. Oh, okay. We should have taken steps to ensure that there wasn't this horrible thing happening. There were death
a lot
groups
to worry about. You think about the software that you've written, and how much how much time did you spend thinking about Myanmar when you were building that software?
Well, I was thinking more about the Wikimedia Foundation offering, it's like, here, download and start your own wiki. And then it's a wiki of like people to execute. And it's like, ooh, is Wikimedia responsible for this? No, probably not. But then if they make, a spin-off version that has lots of features that make it really easy to make a list of people that have to be dealt with, then maybe they might be a little bit culpable. I don't know.
Who gets to decide, though? That's such a nasty, nasty situation that's being created there. I think we do have to find the answer at some point.
Speaking of nasty situations that are being created,
Meta's WhatsApp will allow crypto payments through Novi wallet in U.S.
That doesn't sound like the thing that Zuckerberg came up with. And then you read the description, and it's like, that's the thing Zuckerberg came up with.
The Zuck.
Isn't it? What was that called? What was that cryptocurrency called?
Diem. Is that what you're talking about?
Diem, yeah. It's like, this sounds exactly like Diem.
No, it's totally different. Just like Meta is totally different. Totally.
I think Novi or Navi or whatever it's a separate company, isn't it?
Yeah, but, it's going to be crypto payments.
But it's separate, so if something's wrong with
they
it,
definitely are.
They
tried to sneak it in, and they were smacked back, and it's been long enough that now those tendrils are slipping back under the door.
Speaking of tendrils and a lack of legs,
Meta opens up access to its VR social platform, Horizon Worlds.
Look.
Oh yeah, they have no legs.
They're just disembodied torsos. What if you want squid? Your lower half to be a squid. That would
wonder why they did that.
DLC.
Was there? I bet the movement with the legs was too much. They were like, it's not really worth it. I guess people sit at their desks too. I guess.
Or, Krista, maybe the removal of the legs is to avoid the awkwardness of genitals.
We can't have those in the metaverse. Not allowed.
It doesn't exist.
Oh, Lord.
Is anyone excited about that? Is anyone like, wow, I'm so excited to try that out?
No.
I haven't.
Or we don't have VR.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Second Life was a thing without VR, and people really like it still. But yeah.
I'm having enough trouble with my first life.
Yeah. I don't want a second VR one.
What with quarantining with the cats and all, it's just we're driving everybody else insane. Speaking of insanity,
Twitter acquires Quill, a would-be Slack rival. Team will work on DMs as Quill shuts down.
So the headline is Quill shut down, but Twitter's headline was, we're immediately rolling all of the Quill features into Twitter over the next 6 months. But over the next 6 months.
Yeah, they basically just consumed it.
Yeah.
But we definitely have to murder it and shut it down in order to consume it. We can't consume it whole. People can't continue to use it while we consume it because it would grow to unstoppable proportions.
I love this next story. It's fantastic. Magic Dirt: How the Internet fueled and defeated the thing's weirdest MLM.
MLM is multi-level marketing. This is somebody selling Canadian peat bog dirt that had been dried. You can eat it, you can drink it, you can put it on your face, and
It's a miracle cure for everything and nothing at the same time.
apparently make a lot of money on it.
And it's a little over
Look at these
$25 an ounce.
It was very expensive. Why?
The crazy
Why?
thing is the pictures and the videos of people drinking it.
Yeah, there was a story about a woman who drank it, and she was like, I just started feeling really bad, and like my stomach hurt all the time. I had to go to the ER, and I was like, it couldn't be the dirt because the dirt's supposed to be good for your gut. And I was like, I don't think so. But it's crazy how trends like that go around. Do you ever think about that, Ryan? Because you're kind of into like some of the alternative health stuff. Do you ever think, oh crap, I could be the person drinking the dirt?
No, because the way that I do it is that I simply go against what the mainstream tells me. And the mainstream has never spoken out against dirt. So I assume that dirt is also not useful.
Speaking of, making some money with this one weird trick.
Ocala
I think it's Ocala.
residents
Ocala.
face
Is it Ocala?
Yeah.
6 Ocala residents face charges for defrauding a bank after flaunting the crime online.
So this is just check kiting taken to the next level. With 5 levels of check kiting, the bank had a little trouble keeping up with that, and they were able to cash checks that ultimately wouldn't clear, because it was like you deposit a check that's against another account that also had a check deposited that was against another account, and so on and so forth, and they were able to extract real cash from all of the checks that didn't clear.
Krista, if this were too hot for YouTube, available soon on Floatplane and Patreon, I would ask you to read the names. But since it's not, I won't do that.
I never understood this because I see this a lot where people will go and like show off their cash and stuff, and it's like, why? Even if you got it honestly,
$22,000.
even if you got it honestly, that's just asking to be robbed.
They were all arrested.
But that was 22 split among them, right? And there's 6 or 7 of them, so it wasn't even that much.
5, yeah. About $4,000 each.
Yeah.
They're definitely going to incur more than $4,000 costs, $4,000 in costs to the taxpayers, just in booking and court and court-appointed lawyer, and going through that whole process.
But only because they're in Florida. Stupid to do this in Florida, right? You should have done it in California or Washington.
And finally, our last story, which is amazing, and I'm slightly worried about, because you could search and replace Facebook for a tube that is all about you.
Also, whatsupwiththat.com, I realize, is not a great URL, but surprisingly, the mainstream media didn't touch this, and there is an actual court document that you can go read.
Yes, there's an actual court PDF here. If you doubt this, you can go look at the PDF that's filing. We don't have free Pacer yet. I have a feeling that free Pacer is going to change this show a lot, because it's like, look,
we can just read it ourselves.
here's the document. But the headline.
Bombshell. In court filing, Facebook admits fact checks are nothing more than opinion. Which, how could they ever not be?
Yeah, so the actual, there's the filing. Like, look, there you go, 32 pages of filing. And the actual quote is Stossel's claims focus on the fact check articles written by Climate Feedback, not the labels affixed through the Facebook platform. The labels themselves are neither false nor defamatory. To the contrary, they constitute protected opinion. So this is basically saying, hey, if you're representing this as fact, not opinion, then it could be liable if it's not actually true. And that's happened. We recently had the case where the dude was found guilty on a bunch of stuff. That's also on the Too Hot for YouTube thing on Floatplane that's coming. And if you said that in the past on this platform or others, it was like, nope, bananation, community strike. I don't even know if I can say that. But that's a conversation for another day.
Well, if you were to like doggedly argue these points on Facebook, you would get banned for sure.
Yes. And yet, What do we got Friday?
Nonsense. We've already done
we haven't
robots. We had that weird
done
uncanny one.
Security.
Security and nonsense. Nice. So we'll see you Friday.
Yep. Bye. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Level 1 News. Blah, blah, blah. Today is
where we
what? That we're fumbling over our words?
you said it as a question. Level 1
On
news.
text?
Listen,
Whoever
it's
we are?
Friday. We're all. It's very bad.
It's December 17th.
It's
The-
very bad.
The time is ticking down before Christmas.
Next week is Xmas. I don't even know what our schedule is going to be for Xmas.
Oh, yeah, because
Oh, because Friday. Yeah, I
Friday
probably
is
won't be
just
around that Friday.
it's
Yeah.
Christmas Eve. I got to go to my mom's.
We might be doing. We might do all the week between New Year's and Xmas. We might do as a live stream on that Monday or possibly even Tuesday. I wonder if I could do a live stream from a cabin in the woods. I'm sure the chat would be both delighted and horrified to see that.
It's, what was I going to say? We have to do our drunk news at the end of the year, too.
For New Year's, yeah.
Yeah. Do that once a year.
That's 2 lives in a row. Do we dare?
I know.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. Maybe we can record it on a Sunday or something. Anyway, we're drinking orange soda. This is the first one that I've reordered. It's the Hannaford Brothers locally crafted orange soda. This one is really good.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Crush because I can't see it. So that's the one that has the paprika in it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this was the A++ that we had a few weeks ago.
It's good stuff.
Now, we found
November.
out that's just a store brand, right? From somewhere in New England.
Yep. And you can get it online. It's a little pricey, but you can get it online. So
Have you hidden the other bottles so that people
Yes.
don't take them?
yeah, well, they're not hidden as much as there's stuff there to suggest that maybe you shouldn't drink this.
Those were like a sign, like, this is Wendell's special soda. Don't touch it.
This is for my very sad days. Not really, but
But kind of. It's an emotional support soda.
it is so good, so good. Our first story, definitely the darkest of timelines.
I hate Tech Dirt's headlines because they're very tiny. Verizon once again expands its snoopvertising ambitions.
Where is Rosenworcel when you need her?
She's on
Oh,
Christmas
she's gonna be
break.
on this. You know she is.
Everyone else is enjoying their Christmas holiday, and she's like checking her phone. She's like, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna nail them for that.
This goes so far beyond net neutrality. Like, this is like deep packet inspection snooping. It's like, we want to know who you're calling and where you are and blah blah blah.
You can opt out.
You can opt out of it if you have an original Verizon phone. If you don't have an original Verizon phone, there doesn't seem to be any way to opt out.
Sucks to
And
suck.
there's also no way to not be opted in. Which, isn't that illegal?
Yeah, you're by default you are opted in, and I was thinking that they had put an end to that, but yes,
That's got to be, California's got to be, that's got to be illegal there, right?
this has got to be blisteringly illegal. Who inside Verizon is helping build this? How do you sleep at night?
They
Well,
don't.
if you already work for Verizon, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Speaking of things to keep you up at night,
The popular family safety app Life360 is selling precise location data on its tens of millions of users.
was that wrong? Should we not have done that?
Did you not want us to sell all the tracking data for your children?
33
On the app
million
we call
people.
safety.
33 million people use this. The criminals know exactly where your children are. Why
So
would
they just
why-
sell it to whoever.
Well, you know what? Actually, I was just going to correct you saying not just the criminals, but then I realized saying that the government is, I'm actually just repeating what you just said.
Yeah.
How are they going to, use your children surreptitiously in a honeypot operation if they don't know where they are?
Come on. Think about the profits. You're being selfish.
Yeah.
This is, I can understand people like being terrified of having kids this day and age, but I don't think you should resort to this kind of thing. I think it destroys the trust that your child has and kind of hinders them in the future.
What do you mean you couldn't find me? Don't you have my implant? Wasn't my implant on? You could have found me with my implant. You don't love me. Speaking of things that come back to haunt you after 18 years.
Oh, sorry. My brain just autopiloted there. SolarWinds hackers have a whole bag of new tricks for mass compromise attacks.
Remember SolarWinds? Remember how they got access to like the supply chain, the electronic supply chain of SolarWinds monitoring and management utilities, and they just had, everything. Microsoft has something to say about all this. They factor pretty heavily in this, but yeah, there's turns out that that's a very effective way to disrupt things and also make people super paranoid that you never really get them out.
Once
There's
have
at
bed
least
bugs.
something lingering there, right?
I mean, that's what this seems to be saying, and that is what Microsoft seems to be suggesting with some of this stuff. So, yeah. Use of a custom downloader dubbed Creeloader. Wasn't that from Stargate? The Cree?
That's what people used to call McCree before he got renamed to Cassidy.
Someone should tell SolarWinds that they need to rename that because it's not acceptable
Anymore, yeah.
There are also some fascinating details about how the hackers used a compromised Active Directory inside a hacked CSP to gain a toehold in a customer's network. The technique used RBAC, short for role-based access control, which CSPs use to access the networks that they serve. Yeah, so this is just like, we don't have to hack those people. We can hack the people that provide the software that those people use. It's genius.
Yeah, there was another leak this week where they did everything right, but you just have to get that one help desk person to believe you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was Comcast. That was another provider. We got a story about that.
I think it was Cox.
Or Cox, yeah. It was some
Demonetized.
provider. So we also got this.
Eurostar tests facial recognition system on London train station.
That's a little creepy. The train knows who you are.
I was going to say the image of the train looks a little ominous too. He kind of looks like he's got eyes and they're red.
Blame the train.
Yeah.
How long before the trains have like the Thomas the Tank Engine personality and kids are like, I want to ride the train. I want to go on the tube, mother.
Oh, kids are already like that. They love trains. Can't get enough of them.
See, that's the great thing about the Dark Tower. Blame the train. He was left over. And in a dystopian hellscape, he was the only thing that could get you across the nuclear wasteland, but he was completely insane. His AI had gone completely insane. So they had to have a riddle battle with him.
Oh.
What a great set of books.
Not the
But
movie.
this
though.
is, you don't have to do it, but if you don't do it, they describe the pain in the ass check-in process if you're not scanning, which means that everybody will be scanning.
Oh, I
Yeah.
heard some cats.
Oh, did you finally hear them?
I heard him.
While you were talking. Discord
Well, that's
couldn't
probably
deal
how
with
it gets
that.
through because it's not silencing because I'm talking. He's
Yeah.
laying
I just heard him
at the
again.
bedroom door trying to stuff his head under it. I don't know why. I guess he thinks maybe I'm in there even though I'm right here.
There's another one of you in there, I promise.
Oh, that'd be terrifying. He's like, he's
We're
trying to
20
tell
minutes
you.
away from their food time, and they get really apprehensive at this time of day.
Speaking of apprehension,
I can't read this. It's too far away.
Mitto AG boss accused of secret phone surveillance. This is a terrible headline. Terrible headline. This is a guy that runs an information technology services company in the NSO group area. This is accusing the boss of one of those companies of running a side business of surveillance.
Yeah, this is crazy because it was something about the 3G protocol he figured out how to exploit, but then just kept all those records for a long time for his own uses. And I think he sold stuff, right?
Yeah. It's like, this is what you do for employment. But it's like, we're not going to use that stuff for the employment. I'll just have the side business selling exploits on the 3G network. And no one cares because 3G is on its way out anyway.
And Mitto AG claims that they didn't know. Do you believe them?
No, I don't believe them. I think this is probably like, he's probably an agent of something else. And, that's how that works, that revolving door. It's like, oh, I'm an employee for blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, you're not.
Uh-oh, you're getting too hot for YouTube.
Our next story.
Super hot.
Really, this is a missort, but that's fine.
Microsoft seizes domains used by Chinese cyber-espionage group Nickel.
So this is another one of those stories. It doesn't have anything to do with the Russian SolarWinds thing, but this just shows you how much the hacking groups, the international hacking groups, are sort of stepping things up. Which makes me wonder how much we're stepping things up too.
Yeah.
But they sunk 45 domains, something like that. that had to do with operations for Vixen, Panda, App 15, Mirage, and a bunch of others.
But here's the thing. So they seized domains, which means that there had to be some sort of like governing body over top of this. At some point, don't you think that somebody along the chain here had to just trust Microsoft and be like, oh, okay, we believe you that all
Yeah.
these are.
Yeah.
And you know they'll abuse that eventually.
Yeah, eventually that'll be the norm. Well, if they won't abuse it willingly, what we've seen is that eventually it'll be abused by policy. So eventually it's like Microsoft becomes the gatekeeper of domain names. Not really, but Microsoft becomes the gatekeeper of domains. And then like the recording industry, the Motion Picture Association comes to them and they say, we really need you to sinkhole the Pirate Bay in the United States. And Microsoft says, sure, whatever.
Which is exactly what Google did, although it wasn't in the United States. What country was that?
Sweden?
I think so, yeah.
Sweden,
remember.
Switzerland. Yeah.
Speaking of things that are a really horrifying dystopia, have you not built your own pfSense router yet? This article might make you change your
Consider
mind.
that. 9 Wi-Fi routers used by millions were vulnerable to 226 flaws.
Now, this is a really super clickbait headline. When you read this, they actually just audited. They did a top-to-bottom audit of 9 different models of router that have sold millions and millions of units. And when they did the audit, they found all kinds of flaws. Now, all of the flaws, or almost all of the flaws, are not remotely exploitable. It was just old versions of stuff. Old versions of the Linux kernel, old versions of BusyBox, which is a sort of lightweight set of commands like ls and dir and command editing and some other stuff. That's like a really super lightweight Linux distro. It's like a one binary that actually just does a bunch of different things. And curl and some socket services and the web server. And when you look at each one of those things, there's a database of exploits people have already found. So these security researchers weren't looking for anything new. They were just seeing that these companies had done their work to update the software components that they use on their products to be sure that they were current. They were not. They were not current to a horrifying degree because, if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself, I guess, is the lesson.
I love how it seems to be, when you look at these pictures of all these routers, it seems to be an arms race of who can attach the most antenna.
Well, that looks like the Asus ROG Rapture is winning there, but 25 total vulnerabilities on that one, 25 to 32. Looks like EdgeLink, TP-Link, Synology, EdgeMax, D-Link, AVM, blah, blah, blah. I will emphasize that, again, these vulnerabilities, you need some kind of access in order to be able to use them. It's not that they were wide open on the internet. That certainly happened with routers before. But these vulnerabilities could be exploited once you get access. So once you got access, you can chain that together with one of these, it's a smorgasbord. It's a buffet. It's like, I can combine that exploit and
A
this
Christmas
one and this one.
feast.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden there's somebody mining crypto on your router, or worse, sending the data directly to Verizon. I can't think of anything worse than that. So, and again, these things could be dealt with by the manufacturers if they just update their software. That's all they got to do. That's all they were checking for. This was not even a real security audit. Okay, it was a security audit, but they weren't looking for things that were unknown. They were looking for things that were known, which is what makes this egregious. It makes my blood pressure boil. So, yeah.
That means you need more emotional support soda. It's
Splashed
delicious.
a little bit. So good. All right. This is kind of heartwarming.
Hackers are spamming businesses' receipt printers with anti-work manifestos.
Your time is your most valuable asset. Not only can you never have any more of it, you don't even know how much you have.
It's kind of dark. It's like, well, calm down, receipt printer.
I just wanted a receipt for my orange soda, and I get this.
I mean, is it?
Yeah. Does this really actually help the people, or does this just make their day a little bit more annoying?
A little more annoying because you have to change your receipt printer more often.
Well, one of two things happen. One, you wake up, you can change the direction of your life, and magical things happen to you. Or two, you wake up and you try to change the direction of your life, but you discover that was your highest station in life, and then it only goes downhill from here because you quit your job.
I guarantee you the people on Reddit who are in the anti-work subreddit are not the same kind of people working these jobs. These are rich kids who don't have to worry about reality.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Are you on anti-work?
I've been on it. I mean, I've read it. I don't subscribe to it or anything, but I've seen some of the posts. But like, I have some friends who basically got screwed over by 2008, and like, they're smart people, but like, it's just hard to find decent jobs, and they get paid shit. Oh, that probably just got us demonetized.
Speaking of bleeping computer,
Cox discloses data breach after hacker impersonates support agent.
so a rando got access to, quote unquote, a limited number of Cox ISP customer accounts, which included their PIN number and billing address and a lot of
Security
information.
questions. You know how hard it is to come up with security questions?
Oh, yeah.
And now you got to throw away any of them that you used on the Cox website.
Now think about the database that Verizon is building. Can you imagine when that leaks on the dark web? That's going to be amazing and also horrifying. I don't want to think about that. That's just terrifying. You know what else is terrifying? It's like being able to dial 911 and it's like, oh, help's on the way. Not so fast.
Oh no. Google says bug with Teams and Android can cause 911 calls to fail. That seems like a problem.
Yeah, it's like, oh, let me try to actually dial that. I'm on Teams, and it's like, oh, that should go through your cellular connection. Oh, we didn't do that.
Well, and it seems like it's just bad news all the way down for 911, because we just did stories about how they're not getting a bunch of like upgrades they needed.
I think this is kind of Google's Achilles heel, is like they never really check for bugs and things. Like if Google makes a mistake, they never plan for that. It just, things fail catastrophically.
There's no, like, even if it's not a great backup plan, there's just none.
Yeah.
How does Teams have that level of control over my phone? I don't want Teams to have that level of control over my phone.
Well, there's probably an API that's like, hey, you need to make a 911 call. That's how it should be. That's not that egregious. But it doesn't do that. I like Apple Watch, where it's like the guy goes off the, face first off the handlebars on a bicycle, and Apple Watch is like, I'm just going to preemptively call 911 for you. Whereas Android is like, just walk it off. It's like,
unless you had TikTok running.
Then you're not worthy of 911.
It's like, oh, it's literally making the determination based on the app that you had open. It's like, you had Netflix open? All right, we'll call 911. TikTok? No, forget it. The world's better off without you. I don't have a good segue to this one either.
No. Over 40 million people had health information leaked this year.
Yeah. Hospitals aren't any good at their... Remember the first episode this week, we mentioned 600,000 security professionals are needed? Hospitals need them too. They're not willing to pay for them, but they need them.
Yeah, that's the problem.
You'd think that hospitals would have the money to do that.
You would think, considering how much they charge for literally any procedure, but that just needs to go to administration. Don't worry about where that money goes.
I was filling out the paperwork at the optometrist, and there were so many questions that I just didn't answer because I was like, how could this possibly have anything to do with my optometry?
Do you remember any of them?
You don't need marital status is a big one.
That might be for insurance, I guess, like if you have insurance through your spouse.
There were several. I can't remember what they are now.
What's your favorite color? Why is that?
And nothing happened. They're definitely just building a profile.
Yeah.
Fun.
Did you get new glasses? I can't tell.
Yes.
Oh. Here, scroll over so I can see.
They came in already?
Hmm?
Nice.
I can't tell. You should have got a radically different style.
Yeah, Ryan's glasses are smaller than the headlines that you're struggling
That I'm struggling to read on the smaller headlines.
I've already made my first order from China. So I'm definitely going to get a bunch of different kinds of glasses.
Oh.
Nice.
It'll be like the screws where there's a mystery meaning behind it.
The thing about the Chinese glasses, though, the way they get you is because they'll advertise like, oh, you can get this pair for $5. It's $5 if you get the 1.5 lenses, which are like Coke bottles. If you want the good lenses, it really rapidly increases in price.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That makes sense. Because how else would you do it?
I don't skimp on glasses. I buy them from my optometrist office.
Yeah, they're probably ordering it from China too.
I mean, probably.
Oh yeah, the thing is, they all come in the same factory. So when you buy from China, you're getting the same product.
It's exciting times. Speaking of, wait, what?
LinePay leaks 133,000 users' data to GitHub, of all places.
They say of all places, but this actually makes sense.
Yeah.
People check in the production database to GitHub all the time. Whoops.
They said it was like a marketing employee or something.
Yeah. 51,000 Japanese users and 82,000 Taiwanese and Thai users.
I don't think that person will be given access to GitHub anymore.
Nope.
Nope. And there's probably somebody inside the organization that was like, if you just talked to me, just asked, we could have avoided this. But no, you tried to DIY it, and then you made a huge mess. And somehow I'm responsible for cleaning it up. Oh, that hits a little too close to home.
It hurts a little too much.
Speaking of things hitting a little too close to home.
Scientists raise concerns over UK baby genome sequencing plan.
Have a baby in the UK? Let's get its DNA in a database. What could possibly go wrong?
Apparently, they already do a lot of genetic testing. Like, you poop out a baby, as you do, and they immediately test it for, I think it was 9 or 10 different genetic disorders. Because there's some stuff.
Prenatal?
Yeah, prenatal too, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Down syndrome, they will tell you.
But I mean, some of these are there was, I think it was some sort of spinal disease. They'll test you for it when you're born so they can start giving you medication for it when you're young before you show any symptoms. And that's how they're justifying doing this as well.
It's great. I mean, you can't argue that you probably wouldn't have a better quality of life with all that if you had one of those things wrong with you. But this is also going to follow you forever, as we've seen with data. Yeah. Even if they try to hide it, it'll get leaked, and the insurance companies will know.
That might not be a problem in the UK, but it would be a problem here.
Or employers. Kellogg's might not want you if it knows that you have certain problems.
Kellogg's might be using your DNA secretly without your knowledge to know if you're, fraudulently applying for jobs that you don't ever intend to take.
I was thinking of a darker future where they know what kind of cereal you like based on your DNA. A Frosted Flakes man, I see.
You're a number 7 Frosted Flakes. You want formula number 7. Trust us. So, yeah.
That would be a especially weird dystopia.
They also pointed out here that the NHS, they stated the purpose for this whole thing. But a doctor came along and she said, well, if this was really the purpose, there are so many better ways to do this. The only reason you would do it this way would be to create a profile.
Yeah.
Shh. Bad doctor. Don't draw
talk
attention.
about that.
Don't draw attention. And now we're moseying on into the nonsense section, I guess.
That was a nonsense story. That was a security nonsense
bridge.
Yeah.
I mean, that when one of these kids grows up in 20 or 30 years and their data, it's like, wait a minute, the kid with the weird genome, that was me. Kind of thing. I don't know. Fun times.
Can you monetize that? Probably not.
Probably not. No, somebody else already did. Pfizer or somebody's going to make $1 bazillion off of your genome and you're never going to see a dime of it. That doesn't seem right. So, well, you didn't know your genome was worth anything, but I did. It's like, wait, but come on.
You wouldn't have known. Oh, movie dialogue. Here's why movie dialogue has gotten more difficult to understand. And 3 ways to fix it!
You wouldn't have known with movie dialogue.
Movie dialogue makes me so insane. I've always wondered why they do this. And this article reveals just because they're idiots.
Yes, that was it. That's all I took away from it as well. It's bad a purposeful acting. Choice. I hate that. I thought Dune was bad for that, I thought.
I remember Bane. I had a lot of trouble understanding Bane.
Yeah.
No one understood Bane.
Oh, with the subtitles, he's very eloquent and well-spoken. Good job, Bane.
Just
and
doesn't
who sounds exactly like Bane, except without the muffle, is Venom from the new Venom movie.
I think that's the same actor.
Absolutely stupid.
The whispering all the time, and then what kills me is you have the whispering, and then they bring up the soundtrack level, so you get blasted. You can never get that right.
Yeah.
Volume level, so you can have it equalized across both.
The Lord of the Rings movie is really, really guilty of that too. When they're in Barad-dûr and it's so dark, and then it immediately cuts to the Snow White Mountains.
Yeah. My eyes. It's a visual version of that.
It burns the eyes out of my head, but then the music gets really loud too, and it's just what's happening? If you're dozing off in your chair and then that happens, it's like I'm never sleeping again.
There are certain things that a lot of TV shows and movies will do to set you on edge and give you an emotion cheaply. And three of the big ones: barking dog, crying baby, and here's the one that drives me insane. No one in a movie will answer a phone before like 6 rings. I
Yeah.
hate that so much.
I saw the other day on some on Reddit the ringing in Jerry's doorbell for his apartment. The amount of time from somebody buzzing Seinfeld's apartment thing to the time that they show up upstairs, and they had plotted it over time. It was amazing.
Oh, so they could like guesstimate how far up he was.
No. It was wildly varied. Sometimes it was like 10 seconds. Sometimes it was like a minute and a half.
That's what the story called for, Wendell.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just like it's just the buzzing noise. It's just I don't know. Speaking of buzzing noises and annoyances,
Jimmy Wales is selling his first Wikipedia edit as an NFT because this is the reality we live in now.
hello world. He's also selling his old Strawberry iMac. But a lot of Wikipedia editors are very upset about this.
That cracked me up. I mean, such a weird thing to be so angry about, right?
Yeah? I mean, isn't he going to just use the money for more Wikipedia things?
Or maybe. Well, maybe that's what
I
they're
don't know.
upset about. Like, maybe it's like, we do this for free because we believe in free information, and now someone's monetizing it.
NFTs
Yeah,
are
but he's a little more involved than they were,
Yeah.
wouldn't you say?
NFTs are weird because it's like, oh, someone can own information, but the information is there. So, like, if you just say, well, it's cool that you own it, I'm just going to go ahead and use it.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
how I've always felt about movies and television.
It's funny how that works. It's really funny how this works.
Giant study finds Viagra is linked to almost 70% lower risk of Alzheimer's.
Well, there you go.
See, now I think this is correlation is not causation. I think if you're at that age and you're still banging, it shows that you probably have a decent enough health to not be in that category.
That's probably a good point.
That's probably how it is, yes.
Still a fun headline, though.
You know what else is a fun headline? Probably the funnest headline out of the Blizzard Activision insanity.
Nursing Activision Blizzard employees say their breast milk kept getting stolen.
It's not just like there's a level of horror here. Like, if you were nursing and you were an Activision Blizzard employee reading this story, I feel very bad for you because it sounded like you would have to trek across campus and you wouldn't have a lockable locker and you wouldn't have a proper chair, and it was just all
Which
levels
is illegal,
of horrifying.
by
yeah.
the way.
But
Yeah.
do you remember when you renovated the office?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And,
that
we're a
was one of
tiny
the rules, and
business.
everybody was like, "Why do you need to create these such explicit rules?" Because they had the dimensions of the room,
Yep.
had to have a refrigerator,
The refrigerator
had to have
was
a door,
The refrigerator
for locks.
is not allowed to contain anything else.
Right.
Right. They had these crazy rules. And you're like, why would you have all these crazy rules? And it's like, oh, because Activision Blizzard exists.
Right.
And they're the reason that we have to have this horrible bureaucracy.
And that was the rules around here. Imagine what it's like in California.
I'm sure it's just as stringent, if not more so.
I don't understand why at least one of those people didn't tweet a picture to like the California Department of Labor or whatever and say this is.
Well,
this
I mean,
is
obviously it's coming out now, but like,
there's beer next to the milk. This
What-
is not acceptable.
what would be frustrating about this too is like, when you're breastfeeding, it's not like a faucet you can turn on and off. So like, you pump your milk or whatever, and you're like, okay, I'll give that to my baby tonight. If they throw it out or someone steals it, that doesn't necessarily guarantee that you have enough milk to feed them again immediately right after. Like, you got to keep it going. It's like a factory. It's got to keep chugging.
Do you think it was stolen or thrown away? Because I could see it both ways. I could see it as them being like, we don't want these people here. They're wasting time. Let's retaliate against them. But also, baby mother's milk has, I think it's got growth hormone and a bunch of other crazy stuff that you don't get in any other kind of food. So bodybuilders actually use it.
Yeah, I was going to say it could be, or I mean, it's Blizzard, so it could be some sort of horrible sexual thing too, because that's the horrible reality we live in.
Oh,
Well,
that's
listen, if
really
you buy
terrifying.
somebody's bath water,
Yeah,
certainly breast milk would be one step closer.
it's
right?
awful.
That's a level of horrifying that's just unfathomable. But yeah, it's a engagement challenge. Do you work there? Why?
Why do you work there?
Is it really this bad, or is it just people going insane?
I mean, it's just stuff constantly coming out of there. At some point, it's like, no, maybe it's a terrible place to work.
It really, this story or our next story, I don't know which is worse.
I thought I was going to die. Otters attack British man in Singapore Park.
They bit him 26 times in 10 seconds, and his friend saved him by just, running up and shooing them away and yelling at them, and they got scared and ran away.
Did this guy just lay down and take it?
No, he said he fought, and his friends helped him fight.
Wow.
They
The
managed-
otters actually chased his friends away one time.
Oh, this is like a advanced version of geese.
Yeah, they.
Well, I've always said I think I could fight a goose, but 26 otters, I have no confidence.
No, I don't think I could.
They got him down too. They bit him all on his legs and ankle, and they really went to town on him. He's okay. They gave him antibiotics and shots, and he had to go back to the hospital a few times to have his wounds drained. But he's doing okay.
He probably had to do rabies too, right?
Probably.
Otters are mammals.
Good Lord. So yeah.
Other animal stories.
Other animal stories.
Saudi camel beauty pageant cracks down on cosmetic enhancements.
So apparently, some people were giving their camels Botox.
Hashtag no filter.
And
make
using rubber bands to shape parts of their bodies by cutting off the blood flow. How horrible for the camels.
Oh,
Yeah, it is really terrifying.
and then you think humans do that voluntarily.
I realize I'm looking at these camels. I have no idea what a good-looking camel looks like.
These all look like good-looking camels. I mean, that they look.
They have beautiful eyelashes.
They don't look like they're ill-tempered. Yeah, that's probably done on purpose.
Do you think they? Well, so I know camels have long eyelashes to keep sand and stuff out. Do you think they give them fake ones? They give them falsies for these beauty pageants?
Yes, for sure. If you're giving them Botox,
Yeah.
you're definitely doing that.
Why is this a thing? Oh, this is sad. Very sad. For our viewership in Hong Kong, I'm so sorry.
It does not mean anything. Hong Kong's Carrie Lam says low election turnout may mean government is credible and doing well.
No, what was the quote? It was like, this is, yeah. Hong Kong's leaders dismissed concerns over low turnout at this month's Patriots-only election.
Patriots only.
If you live in Hong Kong, do you have any belief at all, even a shred of belief, that your votes are not being recorded by the Communist Party for monitoring later?
I think it ends up just being a very sad situation.
Either way, it's not good.
You got to feel for her too, because what can she do? She either does what they say, or she gets disappeared.
Yeah.
Or her family gets disappeared, which is maybe worse, arguably.
Yeah. It's really, really horrifying. We've got a follow-up to a story from last week.
This was our title story last week. Some snakes likely survived accidental Maryland house fire in attempt to get rid of them.
The firefighters looked at it and they said, well, a couple of snakes died, but there's not really a lot of snakes in the rubble, so they're probably around here somewhere.
And now that they've got all those nice warm rocks to lay on, oh, fantastic.
More than $1 million in damages.
Yeah, they bought the house for $1.8 million. It's basically a total write-off.
And still infested with snakes.
Lots of nice warm rubble for them to sleep in.
Maybe if we build it back, it'll be better this time, and not filled with snakes.
Could
Just
be
do
a
that
horror
on
movie
purpose.
Premise. Because it's still going to be filled with snakes? That was the joke. Yeah, I don't know if
No, because you said build back better.
Yeah, but it's still filled with snakes. Because how could you not?
But
Just like our
he's not going to
infrastructure.
spend enough to match that program. He's only spending $1 million.
Yeah, that's only a tiny, tiny drop in the bucket. Speaking of which, there's this.
China's U-2-2. Rover spots cube-shaped mystery hut on far side of the moon.
It's going to take it 3 months to get there, but it is going to drive there. It's probably just a boulder. It's probably just a boulder with the way that light is hitting it. But, yeah, it's going to
We're
go
gonna
check
take
that
a
out.
look. Well, obviously it's an alien moon base, and we should definitely go knock and see if they want any cookies for the holiday.
It would be awesome if it was a monolith that was like, Dear Civilization, if you're reading this monolith, good. You've achieved,
Something.
the ability to travel to the moon. But here's a warning. Not long after we had the ability to go to the moon, things ended very badly. Please ensure that things do not end very badly for you. Sincerely, past humanity.
But they leave no hints about what went bad. So then everyone just gets panicky.
Think about this. Imagine that is obviously a structure, right? They get up there and it's clear. There's columns, there's carvings, but there's a door and the rover can't get in. How hard do we space race to be the first
to get in there?
Get into the moon box.
It's full of alien jelly, just like on RimWorld.
Musk is there on a one-way mission in like 3 days.
Not him personally. He'll let someone else open that up.
No, I think that he would do that. He was like, I'm going to sacrifice myself to open the door because reasons. And Bezos is like, no, I must be the one to sacrifice
Maybe
myself.
that's how we get rid of him. We tell him there's alien jelly in there.
I don't know. It's probably just a boulder, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most likely. It's more fun to imagine if it was something else.
Well, speaking of misinformation.
Oh, no. Oh, no. These cute cats online, they help spread misinformation.
Woo! So cat pictures attached to, it's like, look at the cute cat picture. And then something about something.
Well,
Some other thing, yeah.
Yeah, the stories themselves don't point to anything else. It's just the New York Times is angry because some websites that also report on kittens and cats report on things that the New York Times doesn't think should be allowed to be reported on. So now they're saying that using cats is disinformation.
So would you say you showing your cats at the front of the Level 1 news that now the whole broadcast can be classified as misinformation?
Or it could be demonetized, which it already probably was.
Yeah.
No, nothing makes sense. Speaking of things that don't make sense.
Fall on walk from bed to desk is workplace accident, German court rules.
This is really, it was an oddly narrow, an unnecessarily narrow ruling. So dude gets out of bed, dude's on his way to the computer, trips and falls, is injured. That was workplace commute.
Back.
Yeah, workplace commute. So they're saying, oh, that's the workplace insurance should cover that. If he'd been on his way to get breakfast, that would not have been on the way to work.
But couldn't he easily lie about that?
What if he was going, here's another edge case. What if he's going to the bathroom? Because you could
Which
go
he
to
would
the
do
bathroom
first
at your
thing.
office.
Yeah.
Well, the ruling actually kind of mentions that. It said that if he was on his way to work and then he was on his way to the bathroom or on his way somewhere else for lunch, that would not count.
There's no way to measure that.
Yeah.
How bad of a fall? You pop out of bed, you fall, and you break your back.
I know someone who had cats, and they would constantly try to trip him on the stairs.
Oh, right. Didn't he actually hurt himself?
He hurt himself pretty bad.
Yeah.
Well, you can't blame the workplace for that.
No, I'm not saying that you should. I'm just saying that you can injure yourself pretty severely at home.
Yeah, you should think about that every time your kitty cats get under your feet.
Also, couldn't this guy be held responsible because he laid out the house?
Yeah, it's like the workplace thing is like, this is not to workplace standards. And it's like, oh, Lord help us if we have to make our homes OSHA proof.
Oh my gosh,
That's
yeah.
not going to be easy.
I need to have a room for breastfeeding in my house, but it's like, well, it's my house. Like,
Going to have to get a special lockable fridge.
yeah.
You're calling up the workplace like, somebody keeps stealing my breast milk from my refrigerator. I don't know what you want
It's
us
the
to
baby.
do about that,
The baby's
man.
taking it.
Oh, no. Speaking of things that are absurd.
Bomb squad called the hospital after man gets World War II mortar stuck in his rectum. My brain read that quickly, and so like I saw the last word was rectum. I was like, wait, what?
I know we're all like really super bored with the global situation and all, but you really got to re-examine your life choices if that,
Maybe participate in
No.
November instead of.
Didn't you read his quote? He's a military enthusiast, and he had put that on the floor when he slipped and fell on it.
I didn't believe that for a second.
I bet nurses hear some variation of that
Yeah.
so often.
Yeah, you got to wonder, was this the first time, though?
He comes in again. They're like, oh, what are we going to find up there this time?
I fell.
I fell
Yeah,
on my way to work.
That's a common excuse for domestic abuse people too. It's like, oh, I fell.
This is also like, this is a 57 millimeter mortar. Did he start out with like 50 BMG and work his way up? Or did he jump right into 57 millimeters? That's aggressive.
It's something.
And our final story.
Super ripped cat with bulging muscles due to rare condition stuns the internet.
Yay, look at that cat pictures on Newsweek.
Look at
I
him.
love this guy.
I think he could beat your cat's butts.
He might take me on. What are you talking about my cats? I'm thinking about it all the time. Like, imagine cutting this guy's nails.
Oh.
That would be some serious injury.
Look, he's even got abs.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's a specimen.
He's so ripped.
How have we never seen this cat before? How did this cat grow up to be this big and not have an Instagram account?
Yeah, what did he look like when he was little? What was his name? I missed the name.
Chad.
No, you're joking.
Oh no, maybe that might be one of the comments.
Yeah.
It's a Sphinx cat.
They claim that there's
Can't read
no
it.
side effects to this. Like, he's not in pain or anything. He's just massively swole. Probably has to eat a lot.
I looked up the disease or whatever he has, and I was like, is there any other side effects? And it was like, it just makes his muscles really big. And I was like, well, that's not really a disease, is it?
Myostatin.
There was a baby. Do you remember the baby that had this?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was like the super ripped. It was like
I wonder
No.
what happened to that kid. That kid's got to be like much older now, right?
probably an amazing football player.
Yeah, say playing sports or something. He looks like a normal cat in some views. Like, there's one view where he's just laying and staring at the camera, and like you can't see his jacked arms.
Just a little bit of a hint something's not right there.
Yeah.
I bet he's really heavy too, right? He probably weighs at least 20 pounds.
Yeah, it's that super dense muscle. It's
Yeah.
just, you know, you're just having a little ball of it's gonna mess you up in your hands.
Someone like goes to rob your house or something, and they're like, it's okay, they just have a cat, and then that cat shows up. It's terrible.
Crazy.
All right, I think, is that the last story?
That's the last story. We made it through another episode of the Level 1 News. And yeah, something, I don't know, next week is Xmas, so
A weird week. I don't know if we might do a live episode early in the week,
no idea.
because Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Go work on your Devember stuff.
Yes.
The cats are oddly quiet considering it's feeding time.
Well, they've moved into that room. They're now destroying things in there. I can hear them.
Oh, so we can't hear that.
How many days has it been since they turned over their water?
I don't leave the water in there at night anymore.
Well, they can't do it.
It's like a protest.
Oh, we're looking at a kitty cat. We're looking at getting one. We're gonna go meet it Monday afternoon. Woohoo!
All right.
Is it possible you bring it home that day?
We're gonna do a meet and greet with this cat and Rue and see how Rue reacts to the cat.
If it goes well, are you going to bring it home?
Maybe, yeah. We put an application in, so
Okay, so you're getting a cat on Monday is what you're saying.
probably getting a cat on Monday.
Woo!
Yeah. All right.
See ya.
Wish us luck. Bye.